at Full Purpose and Heart, and I wanted to give you guys a little look into a language arts resource that I've got. And if you know anything about my story, my language arts year for my first grader was super, super tough and kind of rock and roll. So I've been putting a lot more effort into looking into a lot of different language arts resources that are out there, so I can hopefully find something that's going to work for us during second grade. One of those resources that I have found is an Evan Moor product, which shouldn't be that surprising to you because I've really loved a lot of Evan Moor products recently, and I'm getting a lot of them to look through and kind of decide if it's something that I want to do. So this Evan Moor product that I'm going to show you today is, sorry about that glare, this is the Language Arts Fundamentals. I almost forgot the title there. This is the Language Fundamentals. I have grade 2, but it comes in grades 1 through grades 5. And this is a really awesome resource that you can have kind of as a supplement to whatever curriculum that you're deciding to use, because it has really short lessons that are divided up by subject or by skill, I guess you could say. So I'm going to flip the camera around and I'll show you what these pages look like here in just a minute. But I wanted you guys to know that this is available. You can buy it as a standalone curriculum, and I wouldn't use it by itself. I would either, use it as a companion to whatever resource that you're using on the side, or Evan Moor also has a language arts bundle that you can do by grade, and it will come with this resource along with like a daily language fundamentals practice. It's called Daily Language Review, I think, along with a pacing guide. So you can actually use this as your language arts curriculum along with the daily review. And that's a really awesome resource because, first of all, it's really affordable for a language arts program, because sometimes those can get really expensive. And secondly, they kind of complement off of each other. So if your student is missing questions on the daily language product or page, that you did that day, then you can head over to this one and it'll say practice these pages, because those are the skills that your student needs to practice. If they're nailing it and they're getting all of the answers correct, then you don't have to worry about additional practice. You can just maybe give them one as a supplemental practice page, not necessarily that they need to learn the resource more. So anyway, this is going to be an awesome resource to use in our school. I'm going to turn the camera around and I'll show you a little bit about what it looks like inside and how they've laid it out, so you can decide if this is something that you want to implement in your school this year. So, like I mentioned, I have grade 2. You can pick it up from grades 1 through grades 5. So it is level appropriate for whatever it is you're going for. And they've got a bunch of correlated standards that are national language standards. So if you're teaching at public school, then of course you're going to hit those. If you're a homeschooler, then you can have that coordination that you need to reach. If you're making portfolios or if you have to prove learning or something like that, then this is going to be a great resource for that. Now, these are going to be some of the things that are covered in this resource. So you've got lots of parts of speech, sentences, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about what this includes when we get deeper inside. Capitalization, abbreviations, punctuations, usage, vocabulary, and spelling. Again, let me talk a little bit more about that as we jump in here to the resource. Now, because this book is divided up by skill, it's not going to be something that you're going to want to start with page 1 and go till the end of the book. At least I wouldn't in my school. I'd want to do a little bit of nouns and then some verbs and then some adverbs and then go back to nouns and then pick up some punctuation, kind of jump around so that you're keeping it diversified. If you do just nouns and then go to adjectives and never go back to nouns, then I'm not sure that you're ever going to really learn, and it could get boring and that sort of stuff. So I would recommend having this with a second resource, kind of like I mentioned. And let me show you really quick before we move on. So this is that other resource I mentioned at the beginning of my video. This is the Daily Language Review, and it comes in the homeschool bundle that Evan Moor offers. So you can do this whole set. This is like a take it to your seat language practice, but it doesn't come in the bundle at this time. So right now you can get these 2 resources at a discounted price when you buy them in a bundle, and it will also have a pacing guide, so you can use it as a part of a language arts curriculum in your classroom, okay? All right, let's go back to here and I'll show you a little bit about what we have. So in those shaded gray areas, you'll see this is a lesson that's going to complement a national standard. So if you're looking for that, then you'll know, you can see just from glancing, they have lots of national standards that are going to be covered. So you've got the nouns here, and there are 15 lessons in the nouns portion. See if I can get a little closer for you. And then you have 2 reviews, okay? So that's really nice because then you can break it up, and maybe you'll do, 8 and go to review 1, and then maybe, jump to another skills, and then you can jump back and do the second half kind of a thing. So just do a little here and there so that your kid gets lots of practice. Here are your adjectives. With the adjectives, you actually have 12 lessons and then 1 review. Pronouns is next. You have 12 lessons and 1 review. Verbs comes here at the bottom with 18 lessons total and 1 review here in the middle. Adverbs is going to have 8 lessons, and then you have the review at the end. Prepositions is only 2 lessons. And then the sentences. Now, sentences are going to be helping you identify what is a subject, a noun, and a verb within a sentence, making sure you have a complete sentence, expanding sentences, that sort of thing. So you'll have 21 practice pages and then 1 review with that, okay? Capitalization, proper nouns, you're capitalizing names, you capitalize days of the week, that sort of thing. So you have 9 lessons with 1 review. And abbreviations, you're going to be doing, obviously, days of the week, months of the year, titles of people's names, streets, that sort of thing, okay? And you don't have a review with the abbreviations, 7 lessons within that. When you jump over to the mechanics, you start with punctuation marks. So you're going to have, let's see, 22 lessons with punctuation marks and 3 reviews. Now, the next section here is going to be usage. This is really helpful if your student's having trouble confusing when to use I and me, good and well, bad or badly, 2, 2, and 2, 4, 4, hour, and then also has double negatives you'll see in there. So that's a really helpful unit if your kid is struggling with trying to figure out when it's appropriate to use those pages or use those words. We've got lots of vocabulary here. The vocabulary is 40 lessons with 8 reviews, and it's going to cover things like synonyms, antonyms, homophones, and homographs, all that kind of stuff, okay? So, and you've got lots of ones that are going to, go with the standard, so that's really beneficial. Your spelling words are words that are frequently misspelled. So you've got, these are all actually, they don't have like a lot of practice pages. I'll show you in a minute here, but they don't have a lot of practice pages for each list. They just give you 1 list and then a couple of, rewrite the word a few times. So, of course, there is an answer key at the end so that you can check your student's work, or you can have your student check their own work. Both of that works. And then this is just the Common Core standards at a glance, so you can see all of the standards that the resource will be hitting, okay? Now, let me show you really quick. This is that additional resource that I was showing you. I don't actually have the Daily Language Review resource at this time, but I have considered getting it because as you can see here, you give it, it's a very short page, like 4 questions that you give your student. And if they are missing any of those questions, then it'll say, okay, practice these pages from the Language Fundamental, which is the book here that we're looking at. And it says you're going to do pages 6, 7, and 8 to practice this resource. Or practice this skill. So I really like that because, you can really pinpoint some practice pages that your students need without all of the additional fluff. And it's a short page, so you're not necessarily worrying about overwhelming the student. So let's look at this one. This is what all of the pages look like. They are black and white, so they're easy to reproduce. But you can just pull them directly out of this book and use it one time for your student as well. Both are perfectly ways to do it. Each top of the page is going to have this quick guide, I guess you could say, that's going to talk a little bit about what your student's going to be practicing, so they have something that they can refer to. And then you can see here we have 12 super short activities, right? Circling and underlining. Very, very quick. So if your student struggles focusing, or if you're having a hard time, getting them excited about doing their English work, this is a great resource because these are such short lessons that you don't have to, feel like you have to pound them down or glue them to their seat or set a timer to get them to finish. It's just really great for that reason. Okay, here's another quick example you can see, and this one only has 8. Underline the now and then circle person, place, or thing on this side. So there's like 2 activities for each question. So it's really great. So these are your nouns. We'll flip over here. You've got adjectives here. Again, it's set up the same. This one has 8 questions. This one has a little bit more writing, whereas the 2 that we looked at before didn't. We've got pronouns here, verbs. Here are our sentence practice pages. And again, they're all kind of the same. They're set up similar. And then on the top, this is the lesson number or the page activity number that you can go by. So you kind of know where you're at. Again, you're just practicing sentences, so that's why you've got a lot of writing on those pages, all right? Okay, so moving along, here's some capitalization practice. Abbreviations. Punctuation. More punctuation. This is where the student's going to actually write the sentence and make sure it has the correct punctuation. And here are some of the usage pages where you need to decide, like these ones are 2, 2, and 2, and this one is badly or bad. So you help with those words that can be confusing. And then here are those vocabulary word practice that we were talking about. This one is prefixes that we're practicing here. And here we have the spelling, like I mentioned I was going to show you. So this is spelling 1, and you'll notice you have, this is where you change the Y to I and add ES to make them plural. So you are practicing that for 1 page, but then on the next page you'll see they're totally different words and a new skill. So this is ED, where you are adding ED to hope, wipe, write, and cute. So you do only practice these words that are frequently misspelled 1 time per page. So it's not really a spelling program at all, but you can get additional practice. Sometimes I feel like I'm searching the internet looking for extra practice pages. So this is a really great resource because it has those pages for whatever skill you feel like your student's struggling with, okay? And then here's an example. These are what the answer key looks like. Again, you can correct your students' pages, but I have found that the older my students get, I like to have them correct their pages too, so that they can see where their mistakes are and that sort of thing. So, and have them correct it and know the correct answer. All right. So one last glance here. You can see we have grades 1 through 5. This is the resource here that we looked at to help with the teaching, but they have some additional ones that go really well. So this is the language, take it to your seat kind of activity page where the student will be actually doing stuff. This one, the example here is cut and paste. And then this is your daily language review. So this is great to have, like if you have a daily learning notebook or something that you're putting every day for your child to practice. Super short practice every day, which is really great when you've got, other students in your classroom that you're trying to teach, whether it's be a homeschool situation with different grade levels, or of course classrooms are full of kids as well. So anyway, this is Language Fundamentals from Evan Moore. You can check my description box below and I will put a resource, or a quick link down there so that you can grab it if you're interested in looking a little bit further to see if this is something that you want to put in your classroom. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll catch you in another video.